Good morning. I wanted to show you my delicata plants that I grew last year. I just haven't had time to go through all my videos and post them. So this is the first year, it's 2019, and it's the first year that I planted my delicata squash. It's a winter squash, and the reason I chose it this year is because someone said it could be a good substitute for mashed potatoes. They grow pretty good size. You get plenty from each plant. The plants produce lots of squash. It has a mild flavor. It's not sweet like some other of the squashes, which I like. You can pick them while they're young. You can also eat the skin. I tried one of these when it was a lot younger than these, and I like the way it tasted. I'm sure the older they are, the more mature they are, the sweeter they will be, but I was looking for something to substitute potatoes. Here are a couple of small ones. They haven't earned their stripes yet, and this plant does pretty well, giving me quite a bit of squash. As you can see here, this plant has grown quite tall. Two things to help you get more squash: pruning and pollinating. As you look here in this pot, I have a Korean squash that I've started from my own seeds. This is a female. It has a little squash on the end. This is a male flower. It just has a stem. Luckily, I got them both at the same time. A lot of times you get a lot of male and without it having any female flowers, and sometimes you get a lot of females without males. So it's really good to learn to hand pollinate all your squash. You'll get a lot more out of your plants. You'll get a lot more squash. So you take a Q-tip and you see how much pollen I've gotten on the end of this Q-tip. You take the Q-tip from the male flower to the female flower. Look how gorgeous these flowers are. They're huge. And I do this every morning throughout the season. That's kind of the first thing I do because the flowers will open early in the morning and you'll get a lot more squash. Okay, back to the delicata squash. This is one of the ways that I've prepared it. I sliced it. As you can see, it still has the skin, and I rubbed a little bit of olive oil on it, some spices, and I baked it in the oven for 20 minutes. I liked the delicata squash, but it was not the potato substitute I was looking for. But I did get lots of squash that lasted in my garage from 4 to 6 months. This delicata squash is 7 months old. I'm going to cut it open and I'm going to save the seeds. This one looks a lot more orange color than the younger ones. The seeds on the inside look like they have matured fully. I just scrape them out with a spoon, and then I put them in a strainer and rinse them all off and let them dry on a paper plate, and then I bag them and label them, the year, and that they're from my home garden. Even though this delicata squash is quite old, it has lots of more fiber in it, I get a lot less meat out of it. I will still steam it and eat it. These seeds look good. If your squash is old and moldy, I try not to save those seeds. I always make sure they look good. These are spaghetti squash seeds, and I save all my squash seeds this way. I clean them, put them on a plate, and let them dry out, and it works really well. Okay, I wanted to show you my spaghetti squash. I had this in the garage also all winter. It's March and I'm steaming it. This is the way I like to cook all my winter squash. I steam them all. So I think spaghetti squash is one of my favorite because it's the easiest to eat. You just steam it until it's soft and you can poke the fork right through it, and then it shreds super easy. So after I steam everything, I can put it away in the fridge and decide what I want to do with it. After it's steamed, it's easy to take it out and make different things with it. I just take this, put a little salt and pepper, and you can eat it just like this. And of course, you can take spaghetti squash and put spaghetti sauce on it, Parmesan cheese, and eat it like spaghetti. Another way that I like it is with a fried egg. I put a little bit of olive oil in a pan, fry it up like hash browns, and eat it with eggs. Steam it, put it in the fridge overnight, and you have really quick meals. Butternut squash, I really like. I use it for making a substitute for carrot cake. Instead of carrots, I use butternut squash. I also steam it, get it ready, put it in the fridge, and then decide what I want to do with it. If I want to eat it with like a side dish, or do I want to make some cakes out of it. This is another squash that I was able to keep for 4 to 6 months in my garage through the winter. You can bake all of these squash, but to me it's so much faster to steam them. What I like about butternut squash is that has a little pocket for seeds and it gives you a lot of meat. Today we've talked about 3 squash: the delicata squash, spaghetti squash, and butternut squash. All of these lasted 4 to 6 months in my garage through the winter. I was surprised. Depending on their maturity, some lasted longer than others. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video.